Page 18, lightly row. On this page they're introducing a tie and they're introducing rests. They show them up above. A tie is simply the curved line that connects two notes, and the notes have to be the same key, the same pitch, the same note. They can't change. That's not a tie. That's something else. We'll get to that later. It can only be two notes at a time. Okay, you can't tie more than that together. If you had more notes that you wanted to tie together, you have to put another line in between each pair of notes. If you look at lightly row, it's in the left hand on the third and fourth measures, first couple of lines and the fourth line. The chord, the C, the one chord, you have three of those lines, one for each note, and that's important because each individual note in a chord has to be tied. You can't just have one line do the whole chord. It doesn't work that way. You have to have all three lines, and we're going to play the third measure. We're going to play the chord, and we're going to hold it down all the way through the fourth measure. We're not going to play the fourth measure again. We're holding the third measure down that long. We're going to hold that down for 8 counts. And that, you're tying them together basically is what it is. You're making the first note extra long, a lot longer than it should be. Okay, and that's what ties are for. I mean, you got to do something. You can only have 4 counts in a measure. If you wanted a note to last longer than 4 counts, what do? Well, you have to tie it together to another note in the next measure. You tie them together. And that's how you do it. The other thing they are introducing is rests. For every note, there is a corresponding rest. So I have a quarter note, I got a quarter rest. I got a half note, I got a half rest. The only thing I've never seen is a dotted rest. So if I have a dotted half note, I would have a half rest and a quarter rest. I would not have a dotted half rest. Now, the whole rest serves multiple purposes, and I'll talk about that later. Just know that right now, the whole rest gets the same number of counts as a whole note. And it's equal to 4 quarter notes. If we're in 4/4 time, then the whole rest gets 4 counts. Just like a whole note would get 4 counts. Now, you don't tie rests together. There's no sense in it because you're being quiet. The purpose of the rest is to be quiet. So you don't have to tie 2 rests together. I suppose if you wanted to be innovative, try it and see how many comments you get on it. Now, if you take a look at the top, the half rest and the whole rest, one looks like a hat and the other one looks like an upside down hat. Now, I have a little problem with their examples, and not just their examples, a lot of examples on these half rest and whole rest, because that little line in the example, that's actually a line in the staff. It's just they've cut it short. For the half rest, that line is the middle line. The half rest sits on the middle line. So if you look at the first measure there in the left hand, you have a half note followed by that rest, that box. And that box is sitting on the third line. It's not going to sit on any other line. It's always going to be the third line. It can get tricky when you have multiple voices in one staff and they're trying to do things that we won't get into that, okay? Just understand that that's where the half rest is. It's sitting on the line. Now a whole rest, if you look down at the third line and the third and fourth measures in the right hand, there's nothing in those measures except the box. And that box is hanging below the line. It's the next to the top line, okay? So the box, whether it's a half rest or whole rest, is in the same space. The half rest sits on the line, it's lighter, it can sit on the line. The whole rest is heavy, it hangs below. But they're both in that same space, the next to the top space between the lines. If you can look at spaces instead of lines. And so that represents 4 counts. Why? Because in music theory, every measure's got to have the correct number of beats according to the time signature. And the time signature is 4/4 in this case. So that means 4 counts to every measure, 4 beats. It's got to be accounted for, all right? Now, when you don't have enough notes to fill it in, you use rest to fill in the rest of the beats. So in that third line down there, the right hand isn't playing anything. So they use a rest, a whole rest, 4 beats worth, to fill them in. Now in method books, at the very beginning, when they're first teaching you and showing you things, they don't put in the rests. They don't follow that rule because they haven't taught you rests yet. So every measure at the beginning of a method book isn't going to really have 4 beats to it because they're still teaching you stuff. But now that you have rests, you check each measure should be 4 beats. And before you start saying, well, wait a minute, what about the next page? Go see the video on that. I'll explain that there. And that's what that's about. Now, they don't mention it, but in this piece, they're actually introducing a tempo marking. They just slide it in there and don't say nothing about sneaky. But again, I think you should understand everything you're seeing in the music. And at the beginning of this, above the top staff, you see the word moderately. Okay? Well, that's important. You don't just, oh, I don't know what that is, I ain't going to worry about it. No. It's how fast you should go. They got to tell us, well, they don't got to tell us, but it's nice when they tell us how fast we should take a piece. And it's their opinion. It's not an absolute hard and fast rule. It's got to be there. Now, how fast is moderately? I don't know. Not a lot of help, am I? What is a moderate tempo? What is a moderate speed? It's not fast, it's not slow, it's just a nice moderate speed, somewhere in the middle. It could change depending on how you feel. It'll change from day to day. You know, it's moderately. It's just, it's not real fast. This is fast. That's fast. It's not slow. See, when we play them together, we play them slow. Okay. Moderately would be somewhere between the two. I don't know. About like that. You can, when they put words with it, it's meant that you can sing with it. How fast you want to sing it is basically what it is. So you can sing it in your head. If you don't want to sing out loud, if you don't want to listen to yourself like me, you sing it in your head a little bit, and you go, I don't sing the words, I just go la la, and I just kind of whatever. So that is a tempo marking. Now if you look at the left hand again, we got the 1 chord and the 5/7 chord, which is fun. And once again, you want to bring out the melody. So far it's been in the right hand. In this piece, it switches. 3rd line, 3rd and 4th measure, the melody's in the left hand, obviously, because the right hand didn't do anything. So that's melody. You want to play that the same loudness as you were playing the melody before it. You don't want it to sound like 2 different hands are playing it. You want the whole, you want it to sound as if one hand played the whole thing. So experiment and make sure your loudness is the same regardless of which hand is playing it. There's so much to explain. And when you're first going through this book, you're not going to get it all, or probably not going to get it all. But if you would do it again, go back through it a 2nd time or 3rd time, whatever, you'd pick it up, okay? I want to explain something else now that we're into rests. When you push a note down is important. When it starts, in this case, on the beat. Not all notes start on the beat, but we are right now starting everything on the beat, okay? When you end a note, when you let up, is also just as important. I can't stress that enough. So don't get lazy and don't get sloppy with it. In that first measure, for instance, because it's elsewhere, in the left hand, it's a half note and a half rest. So you're going to push that chord down on beat 1, and you're going to let it up on beat 3. So when the right hand plays the half note E, that's beat 3. So as the right hand plays it, you let the left hand up. So it's that. So that E, that half note E, is by itself. Same thing in the next measure. The half note is for the 2 quarter notes, and then when I play the half note D in the right hand, I let the left hand up. So it's by itself. So each of these that have a half note and a half rest, Be exact when you let that up. It's really important. As the music gets more difficult, it becomes more important. So try and get into the habit of that now. So let's try this out. Give us 4 counts and we'll come in. Now they're giving you a finger number for the right hand to tell you where to put the hand. Handy, huh? They didn't do that on the previous page. But if you put your little finger on the G, like they say to in the right hand, you're in C position. Bottom note C. It's a 5-finger position. And the chords tell you in the left hand, that's where it's got to go. So you're in C position still. 1, 2, ready, go.